Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing this 2024 Mercedes A180 executive trim, I believe. Let's unlock this. I think it's a good looking hatchback. It's very classy looking. I think it looks more classy than the equivalent 1 Series, but the 1 Series looks more aggressive, more sporty. I'm not a fan of this color, but I think in like a black, white, silver, red even, would look very good. And there are trims above this that make it look sportier or less sporty. I've had the car for about 3 days. I've been using it as my daily, so I'm pretty used to it by now. So I'm gonna tell you how I really feel about it. But I think it's a great car for daily use. For the regular person, this is a very good car, especially this automatic. Easy to use. It's a nice little take. Let's see what I'm talking about here. Easy to use, easy to live with, practical. We'll get into that later on. But here's just a quick rundown of the interior. My favorite part of the interior, I think, is the steering wheel. Like the way it looks, the functionality. Not a fan of these capacitive touch buttons. I prefer the previous generation of a Mercedes steering wheel where it had like actual buttons and rollers, because this volume thing is like a sensitive pad that you just rub your finger on. But it looks sleek and futuristic and modern, but it's not very easy to use, especially when you're driving. I've had some squeaky bum moments trying to get this to work, but it's a very nice steering wheel. It feels solid. It is a cheap plastic on here, but it feels solid. It looks nice, but it is massive. I realize that it doesn't seem to fit the size of this car. It seems like it came out of a C-Class or E-Class or something. It's a massive steering wheel for a small car like this. I think let me ignition on. I like the screens are very clear, very crisp, very easy to read. I'm not a fan of the interior, the design of this. I prefer the 1 Series from like the 2018 1 Series, where it's like a separate screen here. This is nice. You can get a wider, you can get a bigger display on this front one if you need to. But this has all the information you really need on it, to be honest. It has a lot of information. And home, you can see some other stuff. There's a lot to see. But yeah, compared to that 1 Series I had previously, I prefer that interior in that 1 Series. I'm going to compare it to that 1 Series a lot in this video because they're competitors. And I do think the one thing that this A-Class has over it is a little bit more, how do I say it? It doesn't look, I'm not saying it looks better, but I think it looks a lot sleeker. Turn the lights so you can't see anything here. Yeah, so what do we got here? Cubby space, 2 USB-Cs in here, 1 in there, charging my phone currently. Here, I remember in the previous ones there was a little touchpad here to control the screen, but now the screen's also a touchscreen, so you got to do that way. But when you're driving, that's also hard to use. The BMW scroll wheel, I don't think it'll ever really be beaten. And the old Mercedes one had the steering wheel. I love that steering wheel a lot. So you've got like your gear selector here, which is different to most automatics that I've used. And this still does your windshield wipers, your indicators, your lights. Which is I mean, it's a one way of doing it, but I prefer the regular one. Actually, I do prefer, I guess it's easier to use this gear selector compared to down here. But it doesn't feel, this is easier, but it doesn't feel as cool as having something down here, you know? I feel like a man or something. But yeah, it has heated seats, automatic lights. It might have automatic wipers, but I don't know how to use this stalk very well. I think there are some things missing on this car because it's not top spec, but I think it has everything you need. It has the parking cameras. Can I turn this on without turning the engine on? Oh shit. Mighty engine started up right there. It has the parking cameras. Well, the camera. It only has the rear ones. There's no front parking cameras, but there are parking sensors. I do believe it has the parking space detector thingy, so it could park itself. But yeah, turn it off. Auto climate control, heated seats I already mentioned. I do like the way these vents work. but you can turn them on and off like this and move around. I think that's very intuitive and very easy to use. I don't know, I'm conflicted in the way they look. I prefer when they have the interior lighting. That's one thing this car doesn't have. The interior lights are usually circle these vents and along the door line, which would really bring up this interior's fanciness, let's say. But yeah, let's check the back, because it's a very practical hatchback. So I'm like 5'10". One day I'll be 6, I tell you. But yeah, I can sit behind myself comfortably. The seat could go further back a little bit for me to get more comfortable, which is one thing I talk about in this car. The seats aren't. I'm not a big fan of the seats. They're okay, but they're not. I can't get comfortable with them easily. So you got one USB-C port for charging, little storage thing in here. You have your individual light, your coat hook, and your handle. And that's pretty much it back here. Can I take this? I'm not sure if I can take this out as an armrest, to be honest. But yeah, it's roomy. I got loads of headroom, good knee room. Let's see what the middle. Oh man, let's see what the middle seat looks like. Yeah, even in the middle, I've got good headroom, but that's not a very wide car, so I don't think 3 adults can sit here. But definitely 2 adults in the rear, 2 in the front, comfortably for a good journey. The seats here in the back are nice. The reason I don't like the front seats is because they have a little airbag in them. I don't know. It's like there's like a little bladder that you can that inflates and deflates. I just can't get used to that. Let's check the boot. The boot. It's a nice boot. It's a lot more practical than the 2 Series Grand Coupe I had, because that was a coupe thingy. I'm not really sure what you'd call that kind of car. But there's the battery. It is a hybrid. I didn't mention that, but this is a hybrid car, and you do notice it. It does improve the responsiveness of the car, but in the end, it's still a 1.3 petrol, so it's not anything crazy. Overall, cabin is great. I think cabin is perfectly usable, perfectly fine. Everything works as it should. But yeah, let's go on to driving. Okay, now that we're on the road, I can talk to you about the way the car drives. It's very comfortable, this car. Like, I'm not saying it's luxurious, but I think it's well mannered. Over bumps and potholes, it's not bad. I am comparing this to an M Sport BMW. That's my usual daily is an M Sport BMW, and that is, wow. Compared to this is a Rolls Royce in comparison. It's very comfortable, easy to drive, easy to live with. I spent a good probably an hour on the motorway with this car. It was quiet, it was efficient, and it was easy to drive. The main reason it's easy to drive, well, 2 main reasons. One is the steering. The steering is very light, so it's very easy to maneuver around. And number 2, the electric motor helps with instant pickup. So if you feel like overtaking or changing lanes, this car's perfect. But that does hinder it in sportier driving. But I don't think you buy this car for sporty reasons, because the light steering does not fill your confidence when you're pushing this car, and the engine is not made to be pushed. So I think everyday use, this car is pretty much perfect. And the economy isn't bad. I think we could check it right here. From this morning, I went to work this morning, so around 30 miles, I've got 42 miles per gallon. That includes motorway, that includes some town driving, and I think that's not bad. And then overall, this car is a rental, as you can see from that driver on your left side. I think from the day they started renting it out, or I don't know, last time it's reset, about 430 miles, it's average 33 miles per gallon. For a hybrid, that's not much, but I'm assuming the people driving this are not trying to, you know, get good miles per gallon out of it. Next, let's talk about the interior of this car. I'm talking about the quality, the way everything feels. Now, the steering wheel I mentioned before is a very nice steering wheel to visually look at. To use the the touch sensitive buttons, I don't like them. I prefer the older style of steering wheel. But the way this looks, I like the way it looks. It looks very futuristic, very modern. I wish they just kept the buttons. Next is the quality is not that good, to be honest. This car used, I think, for this spec, around 20-25 grand. I think new was like probably 30 something. And it's, listen to that, it's not top quality. The 1 Series is it feels way nicer in the 1 Series. I mean, it feels more premium, as in more well built. It may not look as flashy, but it doesn't feel as hollow, the 1 Series. And this car's only like 32,000 miles. And in that corner, that speaker right there, every time I've had a song with bass on, I got the speakers for a second. Every time I had a song with bass, the rattle I got from that speaker on the A-pill over there, it has been driving me insane. I'm listening to a tune, I'm loving it, then the bass comes in and I hear just rattling. And it's only been 32,000 miles. You don't expect to hear rattling that early on. Like my 3 Series is 130,000 and it's not rattling like this. So I don't think this was built to the top standard it could have been. They did cut some corners, but I don't think people might care about that. But I think the Mercedes badge alone is what's gonna draw people to this car. Let's talk about the drivetrain as a start stop disengages. I'm gonna turn that off. The hybrid element of this car, I think, makes perfect sense for the small hatchback category of vehicle, because you're driving it in town most of the time, and that instant torque you get from the electric motor, you can hear it whining and you can feel it like pull you off, pull you away. But I think it's perfect for a daily, and it's smooth enough where it's not like intrusive. I think they've managed to calibrate it well, but it's not perfect, but they've calibrated it well. The one that's a little bit harder to get used to is the braking. It does feel like it has some regen braking, as you can see from this charge meter down here. When I brake, it will start charging the battery, and the switch between battery and actual brakes is, I don't think it's as smooth as it could be, because you do notice it. But overall, I think it makes a great combination for fuel economy and daily use. It is a lot nippier than that 1 Series that was just a regular petrol. This does pick up a lot quicker thanks to that electric motor. It's not the fastest car in the world, it's not trying to be the fastest car in the world, but it's not very fun. It does have a sport mode that does try and give you something, some kind of energy, but it's still not a very fun engine electric motor combination. Maybe in a manual mode it'd be more fun, but as it is, it's just a regular daily runabout. Good on fuel, spacious, practical, good looking. Interior is nice, clean looking. It could be better if it had the regular steering wheels and buttons. I think it would be a nearly perfect interior. Quality is not that good for the price, but you buy the badge, really. You're buying the badge. So I say overall, this car does what it was meant to do very, very well. It's desirable, it's cheap to run, it's comfortable, it looks very good, and I think the most important overall, it's very easy to drive. Because the minute I got into it, it took some getting used to the light steering, the regen brakes, the hybrid, but after a while it all just made sense for this kind of car. It's all very easy to use. Anyone could drive this, and I think they nailed this car. It's just, as you can, maybe, I don't know if you can hear it in the video, there's just a bit of rattling as I'm going over these bumps. The quality is just not on the level of the 1 Series, but I think they've made up for it with the visuals, basically. So I think overall, I'd say this is a perfect daily car. should you buy one? I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your money, but if you're looking for a small hatchback that's not affordable, a small luxury hatchback, consider one of these. Test drive it, see if you like it. Personally, I prefer the 1 Series. It did feel more engaging to drive, more fun. I'm not sure if it actually was. That's just my BMW bias. But I do prefer the 1 Series. But this is a great car. One thing I forgot to mention: these are manually adjusting seats are probably one of the worst manually adjusting seats I've used, because they insist on using these circular rollers. You can't see them, but I'll show you later on. I'll do an overlay image because I can do editing and stuff. So they have these rollers on the seat that adjust the rake of the backrest and the tilt of the bottom of the seat. I'd rather just a ratchet or something. It's a lot more intuitive to use. These circles, you have to like manually turn them, and especially one for the backrest is a pain to use, to the point I don't want to adjust the seat that much. So it's hard for me to get comfortable in these seats. I say if you're gonna get this car, try and get the electric seats if you can afford it. It'll make life a lot easier. But if you can't, it's fine. You get used to this. I've only had the car for 3 days. You should get used to it. But I just think they really didn't think this seat mechanism through that much. The BMW was slightly better manually, but electric seats are better every single time. So that's how you go for electric seats. The leather itself for the chairs is perfectly fine. The leather on the armrest here, perfectly fine. The one piece of trim I'm not really a fan of is this plastic. It looks textured, but it's not textured. It's just a flat piece of plastic. I'm not a fan of that. But it is the cheaper Mercedes. It's not meant to really be that premium, but the 1 Series had some cloth here or something, or leather. It was a lot better.